Okay. Welcome, Honorable Stephen Par.
Thank
to
you.
Radio SPLM. Uh, it's 4 days now since the signing of compromise peace deal by Dr. Riek Machar and other stakeholders, excluding President Kiir. SPLM, as an SPLM negotiation team spokesperson, tell us the content of the paper that was signed.
Well, the content of the paper, the content of the agreement as such, is very comprehensive, and that is why we call it CPA 2 or whatever you call it. It is a comprehensive peace agreement, and if signed fully, it will solve most of the problem of the conflict. One of the things that it has established is the transitional government of national unity. In this transitional government of national unity, you have addressed a lot of issues. For example, if you start, for example, with the governance, we have addressed the issue of federalism by developing power and resources to the prepares during the interim period. Then you come to the power sharing. The power sharing has addressed so many issues, so many grievances of the stakeholders, and that includes the IO, the SPLM organization. The contents of the peace agreement, this CPA we call, has addressed everything, including transitional justice, accountability. There are sufficient provision for accountability, compensation, for war damages. It also has provision and mandates that the transitional government of national unity has been given. The basic mandate of the government of national unity during the transitional period is to prepare the people of South Sudan for election and also write their own constitution during the interim period. At the end of the interim period, there should be a democratic election for the people of South Sudan to elect their own leaders. So this is the general content of the agreement. The agreement has addressed a lot of issues of peace and conflicts.
Okay, many people have accused the warring parties of basing their negotiation on power sharing. What would you say about this?
No, this is wrong. This agreement is not only about power sharing. You need to go deep into the contents of this agreement. I have told you about justice, accountability, peace, national healing, federalism, the system of governance, democratization of
the
political
system
process in the country. When we talk of power sharing, we are emphasizing just sharing power during transitional period to prepare the people of South Sudan for permanent constitution election, and these need to be shared. The government of the day in Juba has a zero-sum attitude that they need to take it all, and the stakeholders, and I mean the SPLM, the civil society organization, the peace base, and the rest agreed, and that's why they signed this agreement. Of course, minus Juba, because it addressed all these things to resolve this crisis.
Honorable, how long will the transitional government be in power to arrange all these things and put in place?
It's 30 months.
30 months. Okay. Well, Juba administration have severely condemned the power sharing, both in the national government and state level, calling it a dividend to our people. It's like disintegrating the country. How important is that power sharing on your own view?
I think this claim by Juba that power sharing will divide the country is a fallacy. For one thing, they have been given the largest share of power at the center. But they have this idea that the country is there. The political dispensation we want is that of democracy, freedom, that our people fought for during the liberation struggle.
Yes.
But Juba has created the police state we have seen today, and they want to maintain it.
All right. Coming to the issue of proposed the two army. We have seen in continent and all these, and it's going on in Juba that people are protesting against that two army. Can you explain what that two army
That's another
means?
fallacy that I was telling you about. There is nothing called two armies. And I want you to read this agreement again. And those who are demonstrating, you should also read the proposed agreement. Okay. There is only a provision for unification of our forces, or call it amalgamation of forces, to create a new national army, professional, disciplined national army for the defense of the country from both forces. These generals of Salva Kiir, who are now actually obstacle to peace, have an idea that they can integrate our forces to their tribal army within 3 months, something which is not practical because they have not even integrated their militia forces of Puljang in Western Upper Nile. They have even failed to integrate the Yao Yao forces in
Greater People.
In Greater People. Now, why do they think that they can integrate that huge armies of ours? I think it is not practical. These are the forces of the status quo. They just want to maintain things the way they are. And now they are going around accusing the SPLA leadership that we are for two armies. Which country should actually have two armies? This is something out of question.
So it is not actually two armies, but it's just like a process of integrating the forces together.
But they have an idea that if we cannot integrate your forces to our forces within 3 months, then you are for two armies. Can you see this?
Right. Let's talk of
true lie.
Let's talk of demilitarization of Juba city. There are also complaints that Juba will not be demilitarized. Can you tell us exactly what it means?
What it means actually is not only Juba. We say Juba will be demilitarized.
Okay.
Other major towns will also be demilitarized. You know, militarization of our towns has traumatized our people, and South Sudan is a traumatized nation as we speak. We need peace of mind of our people. We need them to return to Malakal, to Bor, to Bantu, to all those major towns. And by the way, Juba has been a crime scene since December 2013, when the so-called National Army has committed massacres throughout the city. And people live in fear today in Juba. That is why we are saying peace must come with demilitarization of Juba and other towns. In fact, we have been hearing some generals and the leaders of Kiir regime saying that Juba is a national capital that must be defended Defended from who? Nobody is attacking Juba. Because in fact, you just need presidential guards and police and the rest in town during the peacetime. Why do you want the people to see tanks in
the town?
In the towns, and artillery always. Is that not element of intimidation?
Okay, maybe they see it like they don't trust the force that will come outside. Will there be another force that will be brought to Juba to replace the army?
But the other question is, do we also trust the army? The army being used to intimidate people today in South Sudan is not actually a national army for the defense of the people. It has been a cause of insecurity. Foreign force that is brought in to stabilize the country will even be far better than that force.
All right, Honorable, let's come to the issue of the states administration. Under Juba administration, we have 10 states plus 2 administrative areas. That's to say ABA and Greater People Administrative Area. I don't know, in the agreement, do you have the way the 2 administrative areas, are they included in the agreement?
No, we don't have any clause about the independent area. We have actually addressed the issues of conflict within the current setting of 10 states.
Okay.
And even when we talk about federalism, we are content with what we have. But if you go further, you know, and this is a concession that we have made. Otherwise, you know, in the SPLM IO areas at the time, we have 21 states that we have proposed, but we have abandoned them to address the issues of peace and security in the country. We have said that since federalism is a part of the agreement, we will work it out with the rest of the people of South Sudan. And we are so confident that the federalism is the popular demand of the people of South Sudan. Once we go in, whether they call their states independent areas, or they call them 21 states, or they call them 10 states, we leave this to the people of South Sudan through their representative in parliament. They will know how to do it.
They will know how to do it.
But as advocates of federalism, even within the government, we will continue to advocate for this.
For federalism.
For federalism.
Honorable, our communities are so disintegrated, and I don't know the power that is in that paper that can bring our people together. For example, these 2 administrative areas, like, let's take the example of Greater People. The people of Jonglei are divided totally. Especially the Greater People now, I don't think there will be a way that they will come together again under Jonglei. What mechanism is there to address such division within that paper?
You know, in that paper, we have a complete protocol for reconciliation and healing process, which also comes with accountability. And we know the human rights violations that were committed in Fibor and in Jonglei and all these places. There is a hybrid courts, you know, that will address the issues of justice, but there is also a social process for truth and reconciliations process, which is provided in that agreement. One thing that we have to also know is that there is nothing wrong with the people of South Sudan.
Yes.
There is something wrong only with the leadership and the way we have governed them all along. The way they are being governed even today is the problem. When you remove the status quo and you allow the people to dialogue among themselves, the accountability and justice are provided for, as you can see in the agreement, everything will take care of itself.
Right, you mentioned about federalism. How is federalism considered in the paper? Now that you have abandoned the 21 states to address the other issues, how is federalism honored?
Federalism is clearly addressed in the sense that power will be devolved to the state and resources also to the state during the interim period. It is also within this transitional period when we will write our permanent constitution with parameters that also address federalism. What we don't know is what kind of federalism shall we have? Is it parliamentary federalism? Is it the presidential federalism that we have now in South Sudan? And federalism is not one. There are so many models. Our people will choose what is good for them. As for dividing states, we will also establish a mechanism to divide the states into 21 or more or less. We say let us give it to them. Regarding the conflict in Jonglei, the intercommunal violence and all this, these are not new. Our people have lived with them for so many years, and they have their own ways and mechanisms to address them. First of all, we are not going anywhere. Even if you establish an independent administrative area of Pibor, you're not going to roll Pibor and put it somewhere very far away geographically from us. We will still be in the same geographical space, and our people will have to address these issues of conflicts for them to live together, because they are bound to live together anyway.
Right. Before we go far, maybe can you give us the percentage, the power sharing percentage in the states? What percentage do you get as opposition in Greater Upper Nile states, in Equatoria, Bahr el Ghazal, and at the national level?
The agreement has given us 40% in the 3 states of
Upper Nile.
And I mean 40% in Jonglei, 40% in Upper Nile, 40% in Unity State. But the agreement has also given us 15% in all of the other 7 states of South Sudan. And we thought that was fair, because in fact giving us only power percentages in the 3 states is divisive. And we have agreed with the government on this thing, that let us share this administrative and political power all over the country. Let us all be there, because unity of our people, unity of our country is also very important. It's not just a matter of sharing power, but what is it that you are going to use power for? The power must be used to unite our people, address issues of conflict, especially the issues of development, the issues of federalism, the issues of democracy. These are what these powers are good for. Otherwise, they will be good for nothing.
All right, we have Ugandan army in South Sudan. When will they pull out in the agreement?
Well, the agreement address this, that immediately the foreign forces and all the allied militias will leave South Sudan. You know, we have the SPLM, SPLA North forces fighting us now in Upper Nile. We have just discovered that Chadians have also been used by the government to fight us. You know, the southern Blue Nile, the people of River Mountains who are fighting the government of the day in Khartoum are also used by the regime in Juba to fight us. The agreement set forth that all these foreign forces will have to leave our land, leave us alone during the transitional period.
We have this issue of another group breaking away from opposition forces, like General Gadet and all these things, and the government has put that forward as an obstacle to peace.
That was actually a lame excuse. the two generals who have left are in foreign capital somewhere in East Africa without forces. So their defection to the government is not a split. In fact, they defected from the government was, and so many generals have been defecting to us, and that did not actually disorganize the government. The government is still there, like we are still there, and there is no point of refusing peace because some people have broken away from us. You just count them, how many are they?
You
There are
see,
not so many.
they went out and they said, we don't want President Kiir, we don't want Dr. Riek. Meaning they want to fight the two parties and bring their own ideology. So it is like a party being formed.
It is a fairy tale. This is actually a joke of the year for you to to believe that you will defeat the SPLM, SPLA, IO, and the government at the same time. So they know it. They know it will not happen.
Okay, before you end this, President Kiir has requested for 15 more days to go and carry out consultations. What is your expectation? What are you expecting, right?
There is no more consultation to make. In fact, the government has done more consultation than us because they control a larger area, they have the facilities, they have been doing it. And instead of doing consultation, they are organizing demonstration against peace. This is what we are seeing. Salva Kiir is doing a lot of contradictory things. He is consulting with his people at the parliament, what they call expanded parliament. That council, whatever you call it, that body is also anti-peace. His military command is anti-peace. Then the regime itself is organizing demonstration against peace. And at the same time, he's telling the whole world that he's doing consultation. It is laughable, you know. We have seen all these things. Salva Kiir is for war. Look at what he has done very recently in the country. He dismissed 4 governors and detained 2 of those governors. While doing that, he has just killed the Speaker of Parliament in Western Equatoria. Okay. And he's killing journalists. One of them, Peter Moy. Are those gestures of peacemaking? They don't look like that. They look like declaration of war. You know, appointments of military governors at the time when we are signing peace agreement. Does that send a signal for peace or for war? We know Cholton is going to Upper Nile to just organize militias, Dinka militias, to fight the SPLM IO. Is that not preparation for war? I think it is. It is war. There is no peace of mind in Juba, and there's no program for peace.
What will happen if President Kiir doesn't return within 15 days that he was given? What will the mediators do?
Well, I don't know what mediators will do. What we have heard is that sanction will be imposed, not necessarily by the mediators, but by the United Nations. And there is a United Nations resolution already prepared for this. So it will not be the SPLM in opposition to do this, but what we have demonstrated to the whole world is that we are for peace. We are practical about this, and that is why we signed that agreement. We don't need war, and we don't need this suffering among our people in South Sudan to continue.
Honorable, you are from Peace Venue. You must be having peace message. Can you send any message to South Sudanese community?
Yes, the message that we need to send to our people about peace is that this peace is not peace for the warring parties. It's peace for them. If their peace, they must own it. They must work to make it happen. And that let them support their representative to the peace talk, the civil society organization, the faith-based, the women bloc, all those were enacted to represent them. They should support what they have signed. The other thing they need to know is that this peace agreement is supported by the whole world and all the political parties of South Sudan and opposition, including the legitimate opposition in parliament, the SPLM-DC, and the SPLM in opposition, and the FDs, the SPLM leaders, the former detainees have signed this. It is only the government of the day in Juba which is opposing this. So our people must ask themselves what kind of government that is demonstrating against peace, which is mobilizing for war when the whole country is actually preparing for it. Let our people fight that war should not continue.